2, roll call.
Benito Hernandez, present.
Javier Ramirez, present.
Alexandra Flores, present.
Jael Perez, present. I do have a quorum, but we have some, Commissioner Garcia running a little bit late, and Mayor is attending another meeting, so he will not be able to attend today. Do we have a motion to
I
excuse?
so moved to
Council?
excuse.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes. Item number 3, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Do we have a volunteer to help us on the invocation?
I'll go ahead and do it.
Dear God, we want to give you thanks for all the opportunities that we have in this beautiful city, and for the health that you have provided us. Please continue the prayers over the people that are sick and ill. Give us the guidance to make the best decisions possible for the best community of the region, which is City of Palmview. In the name of the Lord, we ask you to pray for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Item number 4, certifying posting of the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, the agenda was duly posted as required by state law, at least 72 hours prior to the start of the meeting.
Thank you, Ned. For the record, it's 6:21. Councilman Garcia just won. Item number 5. Do you have any public comments on that?
No one signed up, Mr. Mayor.
Item number 6, we have the mayoral proclamations, which is 6-1 National Public Week, 6-2 National EMS Week, and 6-3 National Public Works Week. Can we have our representatives or anybody who's attending so we can go and have them present? They're in the podium. We're gonna read the proclamation first.
Late.
You can come, Carrie.
¿Qué hay? ¿Cómo te sientes? Bien. ¿Nervioso un poquito?
This is a proclamation, State of the Texas, County of Hidalgo for the City of Palmview. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed on May 15th as the National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the calendar week in which May 15 falls as National Public Week. And whereas the members of the Palmview Police Department play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of the police department, and that members of our department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence or disorder, and protecting them, the innocent, against deception, and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas our police department has grown to be the modern and scientific law enforcement agency, which is unceasingly provides a vital public service. Now, therefore, and representing Ricardo Villarreal, Mayor of the City of Palmview, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15 to the 21, 2022 as a National Public Police Week, proclaimed on this 17th day of May of 2022. Just a little insight. We want to really thank our police officers for, especially for the times of the COVID days, COVID year, should I say, that they were one of the first ones to continue to be out there protecting us. And it was a very dangerous endeavor. And we want to thank them for being in front of our houses when we need to, because it was a tough situation for them when they did not know what to expect when things got a little hectic. So this is extremely important, and we want to make sure not only this week, but to recognize the jobs that they do. Thank you so much for your.
We'd like to invite the council to please join us here on top so we can take a quick photo.
This is, sign it and have it, Mr. Mayor, so we can. Aquí estoy bien. Can we move this over here?
I'd like to say a few words. I really appreciate everything you do for everything, for our community every day. You guys are on the front line. You know, very humbly seeing this, I remember where our police department was a one-man gang, one man, it would close down at 12 o'clock midnight. And it would start the next morning. Seeing this, and and what we have today, very humbly, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking care of our families. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I would like to say, again, thank you. You know, whenever it is that we call, you all are the first ones there, and I pass by and I see, you know, the lights on, and I'm looking out, I'm like, those are our guys, I hope everything's okay, you know, not just, for our citizens, but for you all as well, because you also have families that you go home to, so thank you on behalf of my family and my friends and neighbors in the community that feel a lot more safer knowing that you all are out there protecting us. So thank you so much.
I also want to say thank you so much. You know, it takes a very, very courageous and special person to do what you guys do, and your commitment, your sacrifice does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you to you guys. I know it's hard over there, you know, going over there, you gotta go by safety, you know, it's a lot of danger, so careful.
Thank you guys. Y'all take care. Be very careful.
We have another proclamation. This one goes for the National Public Works Week as well. Can you all join us here? Do we have some representation? Come on over here so we can have a Facebook.
We have some of the supervisors, the guys, as you all know, are very modest gentlemen, hardworking gentlemen.
So they can see
So
who
we'll
to
be-
call for complaints. Just kidding.
We will be taking them to lunch tomorrow. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, guys. This is the proclamation of the state of Texas, the county of Hidalgo, for the city of Palmview, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergencies, management, and services that are vital importance of sustainable and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Palmview. And whereas this infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedication and effort of the public works professional, who are federally mandated first responders, along with the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of the government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is a public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Palmview to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest in understanding of the importance of public works, first responders, and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas 2022 marks the 62nd Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public contributions they make in protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Now therefore, on behalf of Ricardo Villarreal, Mayor, City of Palmview, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th to the 21st of 2022 as a National Public Works Week, proclaimed in this 17th day of May of 2022. Great job, guys. I guess a lot of people don't know exactly some of the, unless you're building something or complaining about something or finding some services, this is the people that are responsible for going out there and fixing the little things that create big things later on. So I just want to thank you for all the job that you've done. Our city looks much better now. It's a responsibility of what you guys have done and the people out there in the work you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, George. And this is,
Before we invite the council to come down and take a picture, if we can, we'll open the floor for comments and you can use their microphones, that way they pick them up better.
Okay.
Yes, as I've mentioned before, on my Facebook page, this department is the backbone of our city. You all keep it together, you all keep it running. We owe you guys so much, you know, and we know some of the work that you all do might seem like it goes overlooked, but I commit to doing a much better job of acknowledging everything it is that you all do, because it is not easy. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for all the work, the years that many of the employees in this department has dedicated to this job and to our city. And by all means, we know there's room for improvement, and I commit to helping, making sure that that happens. So thank you. Again, Public Works Week shouldn't be just one week as we do with our public safety. It should be every day. So again, thank you very, very much.
Yes, and I would also like to say thank you so much to our Public Works, because even though they're understaffed, we managed to get the job done, and that is very, very good for our city. And thank you so much for everything that you do for us.
I'll also like to echo what, Commissioner, Flores and Ramirez said. I mean, you guys impressed us so much. I mean, we count on you guys every day. No matter, you all are like the mail, rain, snow, or sleet, you all are out there, especially when the flooding and all that, you and your crew are out there. And it doesn't go unnoticed, and we appreciate it. And like Commissioner Flores said, it should be every day, because, because you guys, I've seen you guys out there, and I've known you guys for many years, and I know how hard you all work and what you do for our city. So you probably don't hear this every day, but we really do thank you guys.
I appreciate what you guys doing over there. I know it's hard, but continue doing what you're doing, and I'm here to, in case you need something, I'm willing to help you guys. Okay, thank you.
That's also true. We're here to help, like Commissioner Fernandez said.
The next one is, it's a National Emergency Medical Service Week. However, we want to recognize them as well, but we're going to wait until the staff is back. They went just right now to respond to some emergencies. So we want to have the staff with us so we can take a picture and recognize them personally. But we'll have Mr. Lanis also talk a little bit about that. I just want to have a little experience that I had a couple of weeks ago with the situation. It involved the police department and also the EMS. I was extremely proud of the behavior, the professionalism they had when they responded to it was a small fender bender, but however, the person inside had an anxiety issue, so she was not doing very well. But the EMS got there really fast, and the police department was there too as well to supervise. And nothing major happened, but I was impressed with the professionalism and how they addressed those problems, and they made those families feel very comfortable. And I talked to the lady afterwards, and they couldn't help but just thanking you all for the services that you guys are providing for our community. So thank you, Jerry Chief, for that EMS, and we would like to recognize them when they're here so we can give them that attention as well. So we'll wait for that until the next meeting, right, Mayor? Seriously, we wait until the next meeting, but we would like to kind of mention a little bit about that. Thank you so much.
Chief Alanis, would you like to say something?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, on behalf of the Palmview Fire Department, the EMS Division, Fire, we want to thank you all for everything that you all do for us on a daily basis. We greatly appreciate all the support that the city has given us from the inception of the emergency medical services to our current day. And coincidentally, things just happen, and they're out of calls right now, so they're unable to be here to be able to get recognized, which like it's been echoed for the past couple of departments where it is EMS week, but we do thank them every day because there's things that happen every day that don't go out in the public's eye, but we see it behind closed doors in here, and they go above and beyond and with compassion to be able to provide the service to the citizens of Palmview. And on behalf of the fire department, we want to thank you all, and at the next meeting we'll have somebody here for that. So thank you all so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, for the next item, number 7, we are going to go into public hearing. Do I have a motion to go?
I so move to go into public.
6:40, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right now, it's 6:42, and we're in public hearing. We have item 7.1, consideration of rezone from its present designated land use zoning multifamily residential to general business on 4.987 AC out of lots 3435 St. Louis Grove subdivision, Hidalgo County, Texas.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this tract is located along the east side of Showers Road, approximately 600 feet south of the frontage of Interstate 2. The applicant's requesting general business rezone for a commercial subdivision on the property. We did send 12 letters to the residents in the surrounding 200-foot radius, and as of today, there haven't been any letters that have been returned in favor or against. And after discussion, the Planning and Zoning Board did vote to recommend approval for this rezone to general business.
Is this in front of Chavez?
Yes,
Right
across
across
the street, right south of the apartments that are there.
Yeah.
Right south, that's that property.
Okay.
Item 7.2, Consideration to rezone from its present designated land use, rezoning general business to single-family residential and heavy commercial on an 8.2.3 acre lots of Lot 37, Block 3, amended map of the Goodwin Tract subdivision number 1 out of the portions of 48 and 49 Hidalgo County, Texas, according to the map and plat of said subdivision recorded in volume 8, page 2A, map records, Hidalgo County, Texas.
Okay, yes, this is two tracks that are located along the west side of FM 492, approximately 1,730 feet south of Mile 2 Road. The applicant's requesting single family for 6 lots out of a 9-lot subdivision and heavy commercial for 1 lot out of that subdivision. The remaining 2 lots will stay as general business that they're zoned right now. The property currently has 2 existing event centers there on the property, and the rest would be subdivided into those residential and heavy commercial lots. There were 22 letters that were sent to the residents in the surrounding 20-foot radius, and as of today, there have not been any letters returned in favor or against. After discussion, the Planning and Zoning Board voted to approve this rezone, subject to providing a resolution with legal in reference to the road on the north side. There's a dedicated road, it's currently a dirt road, so we would have to work that out with legal to find out if that would be something that the owners would have to pave, or it's a responsibility of the city to maintain.
What about flooding there, Mr. Flores?
On flooding, when they get into the subdivision, they would have to address that. So they would have to provide detention on the property in order to.
What kind of business do they
encompass
want to
that.
open there?
It would stay, the 2 businesses would stay.
What is it now?
They're event centers, Reinas Event Centers.
Oh.
There's those 2. And then on the back of that, the heavy commercial, they just want it for storage of trucks.
Big parking.
Yes, yes. And then behind that is, they wanted residential.
Because I know the flooding affects the neighborhoods around there. Have we looked into all that?
Yes. They're actually, I got a call from the drainage district. So they're gonna look at this subdivision closer. They had approved the drainage report, but after we discussed it, they're actually place the subdivision on hold until we figure out the drainage issues in that area.
So we can't approve it today?
The rezone, this is the rezone,
Sí, no, pero ahorita it's gonna be-
unless we do something subject to the
So it's gonna be subject to
drainage approval.
drainage, you know?
And of course to the road.
The subdivision will have to come back as well.
Yes.
Right.
And that's when they really dive deep into the drainage plan.
This is just for rezoning, that's
Yes, this is just rezoning at this time.
Okay. So, this is public hearing, so we'll have those discussions and at the end of the public hearing. 7.3, consideration to rezone from its present designated land use zoning agricultural, open interim, and single-family residential to duplex, fourplex residentials on 13.58 acres, lot 64, 66, and 68 Benson Grove subdivision as recorded in volume 7, page 13, map records in Hidalgo County, Texas.
Yes, this tract is located along the west side of Benson Palm Drive, approximately 635 feet south of the frontage of Interstate 2. The applicant is requesting a duplex, fourplex residential for a proposed subdivision that would contain approximately 30 lots of duplex or fourplex apartments on each lot, one on each lot. The property is currently vacant, and we did send 19 letters to the residents in the surrounding 200-foot radius. We did get 1 letter back in favor and 1 letter in favor with reservations, with questions about what was gonna be done there. After discussion, the Planning and Zoning Board did vote to recommend approval for this rezone. And
As a reminder, we're in public hearings, so as a reminder to ask if any of us here to speak in favor or against of any of those items. Is there anybody here that speak in favor or against of those items that were mentioned right now by Mr. Flores?
I would like to know who the developer is. Is this, kosher?
Is this for what item?
For, 7.3,
7-3? The one in South Benson?
yeah, yes. And I have lot 64.
South Benson, that's right behind
The credit
the
union
credit union in that
Yeah.
area.
behind there.
Right.
And my property is, the canal, I have the canal right of way from the street from Benson all the way to the back.
Okay.
We have the applicant and the current property owner.
Yes, it's the Bar Yadin Trust, with the Bar Yadin family.
I have never heard of,
Ruben Bar Yadin.
yeah, you gave me that name last week.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned about 30 units, duplexes, fourplexes. Just in my head, I plan, 4 people for all of those. It's gonna be a bunch of people back there. And, is it gonna be built up? Or is the land going to be just as it is? What about,
They would, not necessarily build it up, once they cut a road in there, the actual apartment would have to be built up, but not all the land.
right, not to where there is a problem of flooding into my property or to the
No.
property in the back?
And once they do the subdivision, they would have to account for detention on the lot, for the whole subdivision, they would have to account for detention, so they would have to create a pond that would have to eventually drain out into a TxDOT facility.
They have to have a drainage plan.
Yes, they have to have a
Oh,
drainage
okay.
plan, yes.
Okay, now, last week you mentioned the privacy fence that was gonna be put up.
That's something that, the engineer had mentioned, that they could do,
Okay.
so that could be
Uh,
something.
Like
Will
a
it be
gated community or
maintained,
something, like a gated?
From graffiti and such? Because it's gonna get graffiti.
That's something we'd have to look into, yeah, of course, we would have to, speak to them about the maintenance of it.
Yeah, the maintenance of that. And do you have like a plat that shows what it would look like out there?
At this point, we don't, this is just for the rezone right now, but we would have to get that.
Oh,
We would, have to request the plat, it'll tell you where the pond would be, where, each lot would set out a road.
Right.
So,
So
but
it
we
would
don't have
have
that at this point.
landscaping and such to make it look nice.
Yes.
Okay. And you say the developer is Bar?
Bar Yadin, Yadin.
And this, I think you told me it was a corporation, what,
It's a trustee, a trust.
but is he like the person that's gonna develop it? Bar Yardine?
Yes,
He is the developer.
they're the owners, yes.
Owners
So, the owners
of the property.
Yeah, they're the ones developing it.
Oh, they are
With-
developing, the
They're
owners
developing
are.
it with the, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Do we have anybody else that have a question on those rezoning? Okay, it's 6:50. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? I have a motion, I have a
Second.
second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes. 7-4, item 7-4, discussion and possible action to rezone from its present designated land use, zoning multifamily residential to general business. out of lots 34 and 35 on Lewis Grove subdivision, Hidalgo County, Texas. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any questions?
This is a subdivision, not a farm, right?
On item number,
General business. Currently multifamily, but it's going to
Yes,
general
it's gonna
business.
be general business and it's gonna be a subdivision for commercial.
and that's the one that was approved by planning and zoning, they approved
Yes,
that?
correct.
That was the Reinas.
No.
No, 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 that's
One
a,
of Showers Road.
South of
Oh,
the-
across the street,
right
that's
next to
great.
Are we gonna require like a private fencing also and some greenery and all that there?
Our ordinance does, call for, buffer fence if there's any, between any commercial and residential. So there would be, residential, so it would be required.
Okay,
So,
Drainage, of course.
of course, yes, yes.
so they still have to go through the permits to make sure it has the specs.
Yes, we still have to bring back the subdivision.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. 7.5, this is the discussion of possible action to rezone from its present designated land use general business to single-family residential and heavy commercial on 8 acres lots on 37 and 3 amended map of the Goodwin Tract subdivision number 1 out of portions 48 and 49 of Hidalgo County, Texas. This is the one on the, on 492, right? This is, do we have a motion?
I don't know, motion for it, open it up for discussion.
We have a motion.
Open for discussion.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any questions and discussions?
Yes, going back to the flood, I'm very concerned about the flooding. I'm very concerned about that, I'm very concerned about, fencing also, and green, and all that. You wanna be a fire chief, correct?
Yes.
What's the plan on that, what's the flooding?
For the subdivision, they have done a plat on this one. So they're proposing a pond on the south side of the, event center, behind the event center,
On the south side?
on the south side of the property.
What's that street coming down, is that Joshua?
Springland?
No, Springland.
Oh, that's on
That's
the other-
across the ditch.
That's across, on the other side.
Isn't it south of that?
No, it's on the north side.
It's north side of the,
So it's north side of
just south of Mile
Springland?
2.
It's on the north side of the ditch. This property is on the north side of the ditch.
On the north side of the ditch?
North side of the
We're not
ditch.
You see Springland, then the ditch, then the event centers, and then Frontier, there's a road, Frontier Road. Then there's an empty, like
But that one gets flooded out.
Frontier también got flooded.
Because they build buildings and they raise them up, the water, so it goes down, so, people lost and people, it floods there pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna look into all that.
Yes, we're gonna have to work with the drainage, district
And if
to make
they-
sure it's approved.
If they do connect to that canal, remember that's a canal that is, into capacity to even handle.
It's
to reach that.
undersized.
So if we're gonna have more people connecting to that canal, it's gonna become
Well,
a
they're
big problem there.
They're saying they're doing a
right?
pond, no?
They
They're
have-
That's why
gonna
Yes.
do the pond.
Yes.
Everything new really is gonna require on-site detention of some
Yes.
kind.
Yes.
The system is
Yes.
inundated, it's full. You can't connect to the existing drainage system. So the move is now they have to have on-site detention, retention, or, leaders or something, or,
No,
ponds.
because that's the question of the people that live there. Well, it never flooded before. Well, it didn't flood before because nobody would had any, they didn't build anything on there before, it was just flat land. But once you build the building, of course, you raise it up, and
Yes,
so, we're gonna have to answer to them, why there's street flooding, but if we have a plan for that,
yes, we would have to get, approval by, from the drainage district first.
Right. So
Yes.
we sent letters out to these,
For the rezone, we did,
right.
yes,
Okay, so they're aware of, or they should be aware that this is going to,
correct. Correct, for the residents in the 200-foot radius,
okay.
yes.
What about that street? I mean, if that street, does it have a name?
No, that's an unnamed street. It was, platted back in the 50s. So that road was identified as a dedicated road on the plat back then. So it is being used to access a property on to the west side. But, that's where we have to get some clarification with legal to identify the maintenance of it and paving and.
Is it recorded in the county? It's not recorded either, it's just
The-
like an alley or what?
The subdivision plat is recorded.
The subdivision plot is recorded, but
Yes.
the street, that street.
Well, that street, that road is on the plat
Oh.
as a 40-foot right-of-way road on the plat.
And how
So-
does the owner feel about taking over, or are they trying not to?
Well, the owner is aware that it's a dirt road right now, and they're aware that access to the residential lot, they're where they would have to go through there, and they're fine with it.
Okay,
They're fine with it. But as far as paving it, that's not part, they've discussed that it's not part of their property,
okay.
so that they don't think it's
So
a
they don't want that
responsibility.
responsibility?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll be able to see what they're gonna build there before they build anything, like, make sure.
Yes, on the homes, and if they do anything on commercial, we would have to.
Is there gonna be any restrictions?
Still approve it and still have some kind of permits through there to make sure it's approved, whatever they're doing. Right.
Yes, of course, we would have to get permits. We haven't finalized any of the plat yet, but there are restrictions as far as
No
the
commercial
house
vehicles
on the,
and.
But
yeah,
that-
as far as
there's a-
maintaining the easements.
There's a
and
heavy
stuff like that.
equipment, right? There's a heavy equipment. Through that road, it's gonna be heavy equipment, parking, no? For.
Trying to picture it, I can't.
On a lot, let me see.
So is that gonna be access to that road that is unpaved right now? Heavy equipment passes through there, right?
Yes, yes, correct. So you see,
So if they build a subdivision there, so that means heavy equipment is gonna pass through there together with cars that people live there. Is that correct, right?
yes,
That's what I'm concerned about.
yes.
Yes,
The-
that's.
Yeah, yes, and the owner's aware of that.
The owner's aware.
Yes, yes, they're aware.
Who's, the owner of what?
Of the one that wants to develop the subdivision, which is the owner of who wants to rezone this property.
Okay.
They are aware of the traffic through.
Of the
through-
traffic of the
through
heavy equipment traffic
Through the
there.
dirt road, yes.
And planning and zoning recommends approval, or what was the
They
discussion?
recommend approval, just subject to clarification on the road.
Okay.
And the drainage.
And
Make sure that there's
Of
a.
course,
a
That's our number
complete
one
drainage.
concern right now,
The
drainage,
drainage.
you know.
The
drainage.
drainage
and-
and the
Flooding.
road,
Yes, and the drainage has to be addressed during the
Yeah.
subdivision process.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. So we have a motion and we have a
It was
second.
over for discussion, so I'll open up, I'll, move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Subject to,
Subject to
planning, zoning,
legal
and legal.
recommendation, see.
On that street?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, subject to that, road, clarification and the drainage as well, and we have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good. 7.6, it's a discussion and possible action to rezone from its present designated land use zoning agricultural open interim and single-family residential to duplex, fourplex residential on those 13 acres out of lots 64, 66, and 68 on Benson Grove subdivision as recorded in volume 7, page 13, map records in Hidalgo County, Texas. Do we have a motion?
Again, open it up for discussion,
We open up to discussion.
for discussion. I need a motion.
No, we just.
You have to make a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second? We have a second
To open up for discussion.
to open up for discussion. So, on this, I know we have a concern, a citizen there. Can you give us a little bit more details as far as what they want to do to kind of make sure that there's clarification for the people around that area, especially that area, to make sure that they're going to be okay?
Yes, what we've got, the information that we have is that they are gonna do approximately 30 lots. They still haven't platted it. They wanna go through this process first, but approximately 30 lots, with a road through there. And each lot, they want to do either a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex on each lot. Of course, they do have to accommodate for parking on the lot.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, so, that's what they've told us that they wanna do. So the whole subdivision would be either duplexes or fourplexes on each lot.
Okay.
Duplexes? You're gonna be duplexes?
Fourplexes. They can be
They're gonna be apartments
duplexes,
then?
yeah, basically.
They're gonna be
Okay, we have
Yeah.
one big concern about that.
Mhm.
Parking.
Yes, yes. So each, a duplex has to have 2 parking spaces for each
Per unit,
Per
unit.
unit.
So. if
plus
they-
visitors parking.
Our ordinance doesn't call for visitor parking, it just calls for the 2.
Because we're gonna run into the same problem we ran into these other apartments, that there's not enough parking, and here comes the tow trucks and pick
But,
up.
and,
You know,
and
that's-
is it gonna be something what Silver Spurs is at, or is that gonna be something different?
No, it's gonna be different. It's just gonna be like individual lots, but with a fourplex on it. And that fourplex itself is gonna have to have 8 parking spaces.
Okay.
on
Okay.
it.
And the street's gonna be wide enough if they wanna park on the side of the
Yes.
road?
Yes, it's gonna be a brand-new street, 32, back-to-back curb and gutter.
And,
Might have multiple owners, and it's not gonna be one entity that just kind of owns them all and has their
Oh,
rules
I
and has
see.
their choice
But
and this and that.
the only thing is it gonna be looking the same, and as far as the facade, or is it gonna be all different,
Yes.
different,
I haven't got asked that question, but I can get some more information on it.
Those would probably be
Yeah.
the restrictions that the developer puts when he's selling the lots. Hey, if you wanna buy this lot.
They have to be uniform.
That-
they have to be uniform, because if there's gonna be all different, it just, the presentation of it
And,
becomes a problem.
and I would also recommend private fencing, private fencing and green.
And
greenery.
landscaping,
yes.
landscaping and private fencing.
I don't know how many percentage it was supposed to go, the size of the property, but
On,
we can go a little
on,
bit more,
On our ordinance, it's 10% right now.
10%?
10% of the lot,
10%.
yes, yes.
What about sidewalks?
Sidewalks, we would require that.
Require sidewalks?
Along the street. We'll
Okay.
require that, street lights will require,
Speed bumps?
curb and gutter.
Speed bumps? Because if they're long streets, I mean, they're gonna be running.
Yeah, we would look at the
It's
layout.
what is it,
but
13 acre?
That would,
13
for,
acres.
for the uniform look, we would have to get with the developer to talk to
So we're
him
looking at
about it.
uniform?
Landscaping,
landscape.
fencing, right? So we can make sure that there are restrictions in there, because people around
Yes.
are,
I mean, we're welcoming all the rooftops we can
Yeah.
get, right?
and of course, the
But we
drainage.
have to be considerate to the neighbors.
Yes, yes, of course,
We
they're
don't
gonna
wanna
have drainage.
depreciate their
Yes.
properties.
They, the property owner got an easement to the frontage, so that's what they wanna do. They wanna have an access entrance from there also, and also run a bleeder to TxDOT, so.
Okay.
So their
Yeah.
pond will never stay full.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
that's good. That's something.
And all of these are standard requirements for any new coming
Yeah,
duplexes, fourplexes.
As far as the drainage and the landscaping, yes, we
Sí.
do have to.
Fencing,
to get that
sidewalks.
Subdivisions, yes.
Okay.
But every subdivision is gonna have different restrictions, right?
Of course, yes. There'll be different ones for commercial
Someone's not gonna
versus
allow commercial vehicles
multifamily.
there,
Yes,
or cars parked, you know, two, 3 days or a week
Yeah.
there,
yes,
things like that.
yes.
All right, so, any more questions? No? Do we have a motion to approve?
So move for approval, subject to everything that we discussed.
I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Just make sure that if you have any questions, ma'am, we can address them as well with Mr. Flores, so we can make sure that, we continue to service the people that are already there, to make sure that you're in a good service. Thank you very much for the questions and for the comments.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you, Rudy. Item number 8, consent agenda. Approval of minutes of special meeting held on January 10. Do we have a motion?
I so move to approve.
Second.
The whole consent agenda?
Yes.
We have two. Possible action and membership renewal for the Texas TML.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve item 8.1 and 8.2.
Yes.
Correct.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 9, a no business. 9.1, it's an update on capital improvement projects, street paving, street lights, drainage, and city park projects.
So move
Staffed
approval.
by city, it's an update on,
Just an update?
it's an update, city by city manager.
Representative, if I may, you should have an handout in front of you. This is our standard format, our standing item regarding updates on the bigger projects that we have going on in the city. We'll start with street paving, regarding the areas damaged by the sewer project. The city made a commitment to kind of start with Veterans 495 and the crossovers, due to the, due to the impact that it was having on the public traffic. So city staff completed patches covering 12 crossovers from Abram Road to East Goodwin Road. The next phase will come from Goodwin, going on to Goodwin Acres, and then Lahoma would be next. Unfortunately, the project's been on hold due to the inability to obtain materials for hot mix. There's only so many locations that make the hot mix. There's some that are further out, but like, for example, Progreso, but if you get the hot mix in Progreso, by the time you get over here, it's not that hot anymore, so it doesn't work. So we need something here locally, and they've been down for almost a month now.
They just did Brayfogle, they put some, it's the same thing, they put some patches also there in Brayfogle.
Oh, yeah.
OG
that-
did.
Okay.
So
That, I
they-
don't know if they're using hot mix or cold mix or where they're getting it from, but, there's some machines that you can buy to transport hot mix and it keeps it hot and it keeps it moving. We don't have that kind of equipment unfortunately, so we need something that's close by and readily accessible. Again, it's kind of day to day, hopefully, this week, if not next week, we'll be able to get it to pick up and to continue where we stop. To date, we've used about 20 tons of hot mix and over 140 man hours, along with 56 hours of equipment, man hours of the actual equipment that we have. Again, we're keeping log of this.
Yes.
To make towards our claim to get reimbursed for these expenses. Because this shouldn't be at the expense of the city or the taxpayers. The other part of the paving project we have are for the newly annexed areas that we're gonna be doing to the north. The original project start date was on April 4th. Here we are mid-May, we're still waiting. As of yesterday, today, the contractor advised us that their attorney had been reviewing the agreement. They expect to have that returned by tomorrow. We asked about a timeline to kick off because it went from April 4th to April 18th and then to May. So now they're telling us when they return the contract tomorrow, they'll give us a start date. Once they start, they said that they should complete within 120 days. You see the streets that we're hitting and the order that they're gonna be addressed, which is Stone Ridge Lane, Daisy Ridge Lane, Mesquite Lane, Jamie Circle, Gracie Lane, Palm Creek, and Spring Glen Drive. As a reminder, we put Spring Glen Drive towards the end because we want to make sure that we address the drainage issues on that. That leads over to our drainage discussions. We had the meeting with Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1 on Spring Glen because the flooding on Spring Glen connects to that canal in the back and it gets full really quick. And when that happens, the water comes back up to Spring Glen. So they put their engineers on it as of yesterday or as of Friday. They still have their engineers looking at the assessment to see how our project impacts their drainage system. Hopefully they'll have some impact for us. What we discussed with them is we already have the street paving plan for Spring Glen. We have drainage plans for Spring Glen. The drainage plan calls for bigger inlets, bigger pipes, more inlets, and improvements to that, but they all bleed into that same drainage district system. So we can make all the improvements we want, make it bigger, and the water will go through faster, but if that drainage district, the drainage district has, if it's full, it's not gonna help us. So our plan is to, when we get to pave Spring Glen, go ahead and make through these improvements. At the same time, we can work with the contractor who's doing the street paving. Hey, while you're there, here are the plans for the drainage improvements, do it at the same time. We're hoping in the next week or two, the drainage district comes back and says, hey, you know what, we're gonna make it wider, or we can make it bigger, or we can do some improvements to that, and that'll complement what we're trying to do. Nonetheless, this allows us to move forward with our plans, what we can do on our part. Again, as a reminder to the public, we connect to bigger drainage systems. 90% of our drainage goes into a bigger system that's maintained by the drainage district. And if that drainage system is overwhelmed, it's not gonna make an impact. That's why you see with the new subdivisions, the requirement now is don't connect to a bigger system. You put some water detention on your property, on your subdivision, like Platinum Star, for example. You have to have something on site where the water will go and hold it, and then eventually go into that system little by little. Because to send it straight to this bigger system, it's not gonna work, it's just too big of a system. So we hope to get something on that front.
The only thing I can say in this, Michael,
Yes,
like, and this project was approved since September of last year, and there was people here already requesting or having, doubts about starting that project. It's already been approved, money's allocated. We know we've been communicating with them, but it's now part of the system that if it's in their hand, why is it that they're not moving on this? What's the timeline on that? Because first it said 120 days. We're predicting by June to get started, to finish by June, hopefully by July, to finish all that streets, avoiding those rains. Thank God it hasn't rained yet, but we need to put some pressure on those, or else we're gonna have to, look elsewhere, because if they're not wanting to get started when it's already been approved and money's allocated, I don't know what they're waiting for. What is that?
I agree. I feel like we're just weeks, or days, maybe even away from these rains, and we know once they get started,
So
they
there might be
usually
another delay
keep
because of
coming,
that.
and it's really hard.
Well, it was delayed because of an agreement by the attorney for the contract, is that correct?
Yes. What you'll see as we go through these projects is there's a lot of them that we've had certain dates and they get delayed and they get delayed. And the truth of the matter, there's a lot of follow-up involved, and unfortunately, from staff's ends, if we have to be constantly calling, hey, where are we with this? Where are we with this? What's the review on this? What's the latest on that? And a lot of these times that these dates get changed. Yeah, this one was supposed to start in April to be done by, the end of June or July by the summer. Here we're all mid-May, we haven't started, so it's 2 months. The delay on this one has been on the contractor's review with the attorney for over a month, or for 5 weeks now. We've inquired every week, and they're saying, you know what, they're working on it, they're working on it. We stressed the urgency, said, you know what, we're at the point where if need be, we go back to council. We said this was our first rank proposal. Maybe we cease negotiations with the first rank, we go on to the second rank. We'll have to start again. We might lose a little time in getting their legal to work on it, but nonetheless, this may be something that we have to do. Once they saw the urgency, they said, no, we still want to do it. It's not, we want to know, maybe they have their hands full somewhere else, maybe they're doing something else. They said they still want to do it. They put a speed on it, and they promised it by tomorrow. 1, we'll get the agreement back from the attorney, and number 2, they'll give us a timeline.
Tomorrow.
By tomorrow.
Do they say why they're taking so long?
Before sometimes, and what happens tomorrow comes and goes. Monday, yes,
Do
sir?
they say why they're taking so long?
No, just that the legal's reviewing it, their legal's reviewing it.
Hey, Mike, we need to hurry up, and this is subdivision, this is the one who got flooded by Hannah, right?
See.
Yes, we need to hurry up
Oh,
because,
Springland.
yeah, because the flood is coming, it's around the corner, okay? And I know they're not gonna have time to fix it, okay? We need to hurry up this street.
Absolutely.
So if you're saying, Michael, that now we can do both drainage and the street repairs hand in hand,
That was a
can we,
spring
for Spring Glen,
Yeah,
can we move it back up to the top of the list?
We
Because I
could.
know we had moved it to the bottom because we were pending the drainage approval from Drainage District. But if we haven't even gotten started with streets yet, we're already, we should be foreseeing these approvals coming tomorrow, God willing, for the next few days. Can we now bump it back up to the top of the list since it is a flooding zone?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because compared to the other streets, Springland has the drainage issue, and Jamie Circle also has the drainage issue, and they both are connected to that same canal, so we can now put a focus on that. Just, the only thing is, we can do the improvements that our engineer called for, but if it's going into the same drainage system, and if that drainage system, that drainage canal for the drainage system stays the same, then the same thing's gonna happen.
Right.
The water's, if where it's
Even-
going
even
is full,
if-
and that's not our system.
What about even the pipes? Remember, there are some pipes that are really, really not that big, so we can increase the size of the pipes, at least to move the water somewhere else, because the water's staying there.
Well, the plan's called to increase the pipes, but what's gonna happen is the water's gonna go down faster, but if it's still going to that same place, and that same place is full,
It would need to widen
it's
out.
just
It's
gonna
gonna
get
come back.
flooded
We
faster.
need,
gonna come
the canal needs
You
to
have
be bigger.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think you need to take care of the drainage first.
only alternative would be, and we looked at this, is to send the water somewhere else. Let's get a detention pond somewhere else meanwhile.
Right.
But all the elevations go one way, so we'd have to, maybe get pumps to move it upstream, so to speak. and purchase a property, and I think our engineers looked at that, and they said this is the most feasible one. But for this to work, for this to actually benefit the people of Springland, the drainage district has to come back and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna widen this, or we can do that, or something to their system, because if not, we can make all the improvements in the world to
Yeah.
make the pipes bigger.
I agree. Can we move that one a little bit, you know, since it's in danger of this, can we move it to address it a little bit faster so we can, move on? The other ones just need the paving, but this
Yes,
one, we
yes.
need to find a solution to kinda move it faster. But, you know, I would suggest that we have, not just through email, but, you know, phone calls with these people saying, where's the timeline, where is it
We
at, so
should
we
prob,
can
I,
help.
I would like to attend one of their meetings. Can we find out when their next meeting is? I'd
Well, they
like to
haven't
be there.
met. Have you all
For
met?
the contractor or for?
With the
For drainage
contractor.
district.
That they meet,
Oh,
Tuesdays also right before.
Why don't you give them a
Commissioners'
deadline? I mean, it's.
yeah,
it's-
they tell them, hey, we need to hear something like
You know,
by this time,
If not, we'll
because.
we'll just
we-
make another
we-
meeting and
we-
approve somebody else.
We just approve somebody else, the money's there
For the contractor.
Yeah,
for the contractor, because if they're not moving on this, we have to.
because it's like like Commissioner Hernandez says, I mean, the rains are coming.
We've been listening.
They're
to
coming
the
and,
assistance
and
of,
I hear it's gonna be a very busy hurricane season.
Even mayor, to be honest, even mayor's calling them now, and we've elicited his support, thinking, you know, if it comes from the mayor, maybe, you know, there might be more of
Of a
an
push.
urgency
So we can-
response, but he got the same response.
We can follow
Give 'em
up
a
on
deadline.
that.
Monday?
Deadline.
We can follow up on that and then keep us updated.
Okay, I think at our next if it gets to that point, at our next meeting, if we don't see anything,
Yeah.
we'll have an item to read.
Or we can do a special meeting, or whatever it
Yeah.
is, we can.
Okay.
Also, there's 2 mesquite lanes in Palmview, so we can specify, this is Mesquite Loop, right?
This
It's
is,
the one north of where.
Yeah, because we have a mesquite lane on.
we
Yeah,
have a
not this one, but
Mesquite
the other, so that's Mesquite.
Avenue, Mesquite Street, no?
Yeah, one off of East Goodwin.
Ahí no es, ya, ya.
Monday? Yeah, but is it Mesquite Lane or Loop?
Mesquite, no ma.
No, it's
We'll
Mesquite
clarify, but
Loop.
It's the one north. that's
The one
gonna be
north,
Porque
yeah,
hay
Mesquite.
There's another one over
there.
here.
Not the one right here.
I used to live there.
Yeah, right, not that one. The one, these are north, these are newly annexed
Yeah.
areas, these are north of 495. I think
So,
that's a really good idea.
Can you give us some updates tomorrow? Give us some information on what happened with a call and see what are they reacting on that contract, and have legal looking over it as well. Or maybe legal can call and saying, where we at in this situation?
Okay, I think that's good. On the drainage side, of course, we did the improvements were done to the business center pond. What's pending on business center is the houses on the south side that get flooded in the back against that irrigation district, ditch. Again, this is another one where we have to work with another entity because we don't have the authority to do the improvements on somebody else's assets. We did follow up with Dr. Ureta at irrigation district number 6. They're very open to making the improvements. They have the equipment, the man hours, the resources and all that. The air engineers looked at it. He said the slope, actually the elevations, once you get closer towards Benson, coming from the business center, it goes upwards, so they're having to deal with that. But we are planning to have a meeting, if not this week, early next week, to bring the engineers to say, how do we get over that elevation and what's gonna be the plan? Because some of these properties, they have fences in their backyards, or they've done some improvements, or they've put dirt and it's raised it. So that's why all the water can start to flow, and then it stops at a certain property, and it causes problems for everybody else, so.
I think there was an agreement that they were willing to do some swells all the way to Benson, right? I mean, we're here, I still remember the time, so we can just do a follow-up on that, so we can say, hey, this is their property, right?
And I don't,
And they do have the equipment to do that.
I know this is not on the agenda, but, we really need to look into showers, on the subdivision, is it? I mean, those are the first ones to get flooded, and they've been having a lot of problems.
Tulipan
I mean,
Street.
Yeah, like, what is it, Azucena, those streets.
Tulipan and.
No, not
Tulipan.
Tulipan?
It's Tulipan is the last one.
Yeah, we went out there, we looked at it, and I mean, it has a solution, so, I don't wanna put them in the back burner. I think we need to start looking into those.
Yeah. What would be the possibility that we can reopen that drain through that property that covered the original?
The ones where the houses have been covered over or built
Yeah,
on.
I think we
Yeah.
need to start notifying those people that they're gonna have to remove those structures there.
We talked to the drainage district, as a matter of fact, when we were at that meeting last time. We brought up this one in particular because when that was done, that used to be county area, so they were subject to county subdivision rules. It has to, if they've been to the city already, would have said, hey, wait a minute, you can't build by that. If they had asked for a permit to put a storage or something else, hey, you're too close to the property line, you have a 10-foot, setback or easement, or there's a right of way or something.
Yeah, we inherited a lot of these, but,
That's
but-
kind of one of the
but
points
it-
we made, all these.
but
drainage
we inherited all
plans,
these
think about
others
it,
too. Stone Ridge, Daisy,
Yeah.
we inherited all of the same thing.
But have they been notified, like, if you help us by allowing us to open this back up, all your neighbors, would be relieved of this,
Yeah.
of this flooding?
I don't know
I think
if you guys have made any
that
contact with
conversation
property
needs to
owners,
take
but-
place.
I made contact, or myself and the commissioner,
Yeah, we went to go see them, but
we spoke to a couple of residents out there.
well, I think we need to send them, like letters and.
Yeah, we spoke to them about almost 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner, and most of them were okay with it, but I think in lieu of that, or we need to, I think maybe I don't know if it's the town hall or what would be, send them letters
there's
or legalities behind it, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's gonna take legal, we're gonna need input from legal. The one that might be worrisome is where the house itself encroaches, what do you do?
Yeah,
with
that's
the
the,
house?
that's the,
Are you
the
gonna tear it
people
down?
we need to be talking to.
So part of their argument's gonna be that when I built it, I went to the county gave me the permit.
Right.
We're grandfathered in because, this wasn't an issue back then. Now it's city, now it's an issue.
Well, then we're gonna have to have Plan B.
Can we have pipes underneath?
Well, we came up with some ideas, that's one, boring, it could be one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be probably pretty expensive, I'm pretty sure, but that's an option,
We're
boring.
gonna go towards La Pulga, right?
Yeah, correct, yes, sir. Two is, we had some ideas, Mr. Flores, we were talking about is where we put some pipes, and I think, Mr. Commissioner, we were out there where we put some pipes into the cul-de-sacs, into these, to the areas that we can reach, have some type of pumps on it and pump it out and move it that way.
Something.
So that might be some options we can do.
Is that a temporary?
Yeah, it's not gonna be,
temporary relief? Just until we get a more permanent solution?
yes, ma'am, correct. But the boring, I think, would be probably, especially with that house that's on the property down.
The last one, behind the two-story house?
Correct, yes, sir.
And since
Yeah.
we're talking about the drainage and, we can put this in here, right? I mean, but,
Yes, it's covered.
well, it's not about the drainage, about the sandbag maker.
Uh-huh.
I know that's been approved.
Well,
Funny you asked her.
yes, sir,
Funny
Mr.
you
Commissioner,
asked.
we,
Why is that?
we got a sandbag maker for you.
You got one?
Came in this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually it's
I've been asking for that for
Yes, sir,
years.
yes, sir, Mr. Leo actually, got, pretty much.
Is
beat
really?
me
You
with
got
it.
one?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's actually pretty neat. It's instead of a standalone stand maker, which is what we were originally looking at, it's an attachment to the backhoe. So it scoops up all the sand and it automatically makes the bags and then it
Whatever.
drops them. So you make about 20.
Yeah,
just like
actually,
that.
it's a skid steer attachment.
Cause
It's
the other
like
one
a backhoe
was
skid
gonna make
steer.
like 900 an hour or something like that.
This one was
Well, that'd be great, sir, but that's like a $50,000 machine.
You know, just.
But no, but I get you.
But I'm glad we
Actually,
got some.
if I'm not mistaken, it
Yeah.
makes, if
Great.
it's rated at 10 to
Great job.
15 bags a minute or something like that. if
Right
I'm
on
not
time.
mistaken.
Well,
Right on time.
that'll help your crew.
Yes.
That'll be really good.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Actually, very proud of it. Actually, we have it, we just came in day before yesterday, what's the day? Monday?
Friday or-
Friday, I'm sorry, we came in
Wow.
Friday. We're gonna surprise you with it, sir, but,
Take a
Surprise,
picture.
surprise. It was a surprise.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Gotta get it to you.
Now we need bags.
but actually, it came with 6,000 bags. Yeah, 6,000 bags.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, with 6,000
Yes, ma'am.
bags.
How many
6,000,
bags?
yes, sir. Not full, but you gotta fill
Can
them
we
up.
start making them and store them somewhere?
See?
So we
Yes,
don't
we
be in
can.
the-
Las
Ye-
listas.
Yes, we can. We just don't have the area where to store them. It's gonna be in a warehouse, I mean, not to keep it out of the sun.
See, out of the sun.
Yeah,
to
and
not-
stuff like that, so, but yes,
Well, let them know where we are.
Thank you, Richard.
yes, sir.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, that's good news.
The last part on the drain is on the next page on the Tierra Linda drainage project for the properties that are near the Tierra Linda Canal in the back where their property started to deteriorate. We followed up again with the drainage district. They said that they already got approval from the irrigation district number 1, and that's another one where it's tricky because it's not our asset, it's not our property. The property belongs to irrigation district number 1, and then there's a drain ditch which belongs to the drainage district number 1. But they did have a plan where they're gonna fill the canal, move it about 10, 15 feet away from the property owners. We checked with them on Friday, they got back to us, they have an interlocal that they're gonna forward to us for our review. They said they were gonna send it on Thursday or Friday, as a matter of fact, we still haven't gotten it. But as soon as we get that, we send it to legal, we come back to council, and if you're comfortable with it, then we approve it. That should also dictate the terms as far as the payment, if they're gonna invoice us for our share. street lights, this is another one that, again, you know, I know, has of interest to council members. Sometimes we're constantly having to follow up with AEP, where are we with this, where are we with that? Some streets that got, some lights that did get done over the last 2 weeks, Jimenez Road, which is west of Scott Lane to the south of Old 83. They got 4 LED lights done. The intersection of South Prayerful and La Camelia got done. Loma Linda and Linda Vista got done, and Milagro Lane got done. These were in the last 2-3 weeks. What's still pending that we've been asking for is on Abram Road, going from Roque Salinas all the way to Business 83. There's about 8 poles that could use lights. On Green Road from Agua Dulce Street to Business, Old 83, 8 lights. Jimmy Garza, we were asking for 1 light at the very end. We got street lights put on Jimmy Garza, but at the very end, it darkens a little bit. So
The one at the cul-de-sac?
Yeah, the one at the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Torpedo Road.
What about the one in Green Road? There was, remember the Green Road, from Old 83 on that, Greenland Circle?
See.
There were poles already there, and it seems like the lights are like, there's only 2, and it says they were gonna look into adding like 2 more or 3 more in that street?
That might be the one that's here on Green Road. It goes from Business 83, passing the canal, all the way to Agua Dulce, really. There's about 8 poles that we asked for a quote to put street lights.
Is that the
on
same
those
one,
poles.
Rudy?
That was a Greenland Circle,
Okay.
or the Green Valley, I think.
Uh-huh.
That one I haven't received.
Oh, on
a
the
quote yet.
inside of the,
We haven't received the quote?
that's inside the subdivision.
Inside the subdivision, because the lights kind of stopped like in on the first street, because at that time, that used to be the only part was city. The whole subdivision was not city, but there's poles there that we can add lights, and I think there's like 2 or 3.
It would be 2 or 3 max. I think,
Yeah.
that we could-
So at least because it's there in the subdivision, the whole subdivision doesn't have any lights, but they don't have any poles, but at least they have poles there. I think we addressed it last time, Rudy, no?
Yes. I haven't received a quote on that one yet.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about street projects, I have a recommendation. When you said about naming streets a while ago, I know I'm using what's on the agenda here because it's on this street, what's this Palmview business, what do you call it? Like,
Public commercial?
yeah, public commercial.
No. Right where the Excalibur is, the restaurant, the
What-
laundry, right?
Okay, what about
Palmview
the
Drive.
street that's this one right here going to the park?
I think that was
Commercial.
Really? Well, I'd like to put on the agenda next time, I'd like to name that street after a person that really, Palmview is where it is right now, Sergio Munoz. Maybe name that street, those 2 streets, or look for a street to name something after him.
That's a good idea.
I mean, since we are talking about projects.
No, that's fair game on this topic, yes.
Yeah, but that street right there, nobody knows what the name of it is.
The one-
That you Sergio Munoz, road, Sergio Munoz.
What is the name of the street? That's his name.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's meant to be an extension of this one here. and it
Commercial
has
drive?
splits.
The one going to the park is commercial, that's really.
Commercial
But
lane?
it could be extended, those 2 streets, because that one will be next to the city hall.
Yeah, it's,
I would like to name that one and that one over there, both the same name. Just an idea. A recommendation, I guess.
Coming to, yeah, it's good.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was part of the EDC subdivision. So the EDC was the developer, so we might have that, ability to be able to name it because we named it in the first place.
Okay,
As
good.
opposed to going to somebody else's street and asking them, hey, can you change that?
No, but any other name comes up, we use that one first.
Okay. The last item is on playground equipment, another one that we kind of made some changes, so it pushed off the date, but the last one.
Michael, I'm sorry, just, before we leave the light quotes, if we can add 2 mile line between Goodwin, East Goodwin, I'm sorry, and Goodwin. I know there's a lot of illegal dumping there, and I don't know if it could be due to lack of lighting. I mean, if we can add that to the list, I'd appreciate
Do we
that.
have poles in there?
Where's
There's no
that at?
poles at all.
On East Goodwin?
Between East Goodwin and
And
Goodwin.
Goodwin.
See, on 2 mile line,
Okay.
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of
And the
illegal
little
dumping
curve,
there.
yeah.
Mattresses and.
Mattresses,
Yes.
dead animals,
We put a blinking
carcasses.
stop sign on Minnesota.
Trash
A
bags.
stop sign with lights all around, gone.
Yeah, it's
I had a recommendation today, somebody told me about that we need to put that, like, those little it costs like $20, little GPS things that you put on there or something,
a little
things like that, so that we don't get
Got
lost.
some ideas on trying to identify what the issue is, and we can talk about that.
On showers, remember that we addressed that sometime back, talking about little trash there by the dumpster on those apartments and showers. Remember that, Richard? What's the update on that?
On that one, sir, Republic went in the following week.
Oh, they
to pick up
did?
their trash, yes.
They did.
I haven't gone back to double check it, but Republic wasn't going out there to pick it up.
They didn't pick up the mattress and
No,
all
the
that
mattresses,
stuff?
they don't pick up the mattresses. There's some areas where we need, for legal dumping, to that subject, is, I think myself and Rudy, matter of fact, we were talking about it earlier today, of creating like maybe a program where we can, find some, solutions or temporary solutions for them, for those matters, and especially those, the areas that we were talking about in
Yeah.
question. And I guess we'll talk behind closed doors
Yeah.
to
Some
discuss
type of
certain
a-
options.
The more we leave
City
something there,
security, like-
the people think that it's a dumping ground, and they are
Correct, yes,
going
sir.
to give
Yeah.
themselves permission to do that, so.
And the thing is, it creates a lot of issues. One, you know, besides the rodents and the look of the city, but it keeps people that okay to throw stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of to a point where it takes man hours for us to pick it up, and where
Exactly.
where these guys are busy with the public works side, and it just creates a big old
Yes,
snowball effect.
it's
So
unfair.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening on 2 Mile Line.
Yeah, that
You
one's-
See that, oh,
Yeah.
that's the place to go.
Yes, yes.
so yes, that's there's some ideas we're coming up with, and I'm sure Mr. Leo will address it and see what y'all think about
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm sorry
Thank you
about
for the
that.
update.
The last item was on the playground equipment. We had a special meeting May 4th. We were told 2 weeks. We're getting near that 2-week period. We did follow up with the gentleman again today. He was supposed to get the equipment on Friday. Here we are Tuesday. He said it should be here by tomorrow, end of
Okay.
day, if not, no later than Thursday. He's got an installer ready to go. The second it gets here, they will install it. The installer's supposed to say 6 to 8 days for completion. So assuming it comes in tomorrow or even Thursday, they should be starting by the end of the week to be done by May 31st. Again, as you'll notice, we give you these dates, but just keep in mind, this is the information that we're getting from the contractors,
Yeah.
from the vendors and engineers. And sometimes we come back and say, hey,
Yeah.
where are we with this? Oh, guess what?
I guess the only thing I would suggest is, keep following up with them and through phone calls, through written communications with an email, so we can make sure that we are attempting to get in touch with them. But, having that network with them, because, if out of sight, out of mind, if they don't hear from us,
Yeah.
they don't
They're
hear
not
from
gonna
us,
think it's important to
they're,
us.
they're not gonna be volunteering their services, because they don't wanna hear from us. So if you can just have somebody, calling on those items, so we can get us updated, because, we approved those things sometime back, so.
Yeah, we have a plan of action where, because everybody's plate is full really, but we have a plan where we're gonna, if we make changes in the future, or we need to make some changes, to assign somebody in particular, this is gonna be one of your main roles, so to
Yeah.
speak. Project management, special project, just the follow-up, not just with staff internally, but externally, with the vendors, with engineers, with the drainage district, with the other entities. The last page just shows you the images of what we were getting. Again, we have the
It's the
5
same
to 12
ones.
for the older kids and the 2 to 5 for the smaller kids. The capacity 38 to 42 people for the bigger set. The smaller one can accommodate 20 to 24 kids. The last item that we want to share here briefly, that we're really, really excited about, we gave you the layout. This is the larger page that you have separately. As you know, council made a commitment to try to just take advantage of the resources that we already have, the assets that we already have. We have wants and needs like a library, a Boys and Girls Club, and youth programs, and things of that nature. And, we have the assets already here. We have a building to the back. So we were able to negotiate with the existing tenant that's there right now. Right now, their target date to move out is at the end of June. Council said, you know what, let's be ready for this. Let's have a plan. Where are we gonna put this? So we engaged a firm to do a layout, to do the measurements. So this is the measurements of the building in the back. We know what we have on the gym side, but on the other side, this is where we want the utilization of space. Based on some of the input that we received from council and from staff, we've met a few times. This is kind of a layout of what we have. We're trying to keep in mind, what do you need to get the Boys and Girls Club accreditation? There's certain requirements that they have. You need to have a game room, you need to have a arts and crafts room, you need to have another room with food and things of that nature. And we also know our needs, like the library. So we'll start on the top left, there's a room there about 600 square feet that seems to be ideal for a library. We can put a library. Right below that, we can put a computer room. We got a grant from United Way for $15,000. We have a grant from United Way from right before COVID for another $20,000 to to actually furnish and provide computers for our Learning Resource Center, which would be ideal to work in conjunction with our computer room. We can
The
adopt-
first 15,000 was for the library,
Yes.
and then the second was for the technology
Well, it
room?
was for the Learning Resource Center because we didn't have a building at the time.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna get a portable, have a Learning Resource Center where kids can come after school, do their homework, do their tutoring, maybe have some programs, and have access to internet and resources. So now we're kind of combining that with the grant that we got, the latest one was for 15,000, to be able to pay staff, to pay a tutor of some kind after hours, and to buy the furniture, that we're gonna need, because obviously we're gonna need furniture.
The library program, I heard, is also kind of pricey.
But we have space to accommodate a library, and once we get to that point, we have a room that we can utilize for a training room, and then at the bottom there, you see an arts and crafts room. Again, a requirement to get that Boys and Girls Club accommodation. The biggest room in the middle where we've had town hall game rooms, meetings before, that would be the main game room. That's when you go to a Boys and Girls Club, and
So-
you see pool tables.
We're talking about doing this, all the Boys and Youth Club,
Yes,
Boys and Girls.
yes.
Now applying for a grant for that because it's, now we have.
I
the
thought we were gonna
facilities.
use it for some city use.
Unfortunately, we looked into that, and what we were advised by Urban County is that you cannot use it for city general services. You cannot use it for city hall or for city planning, or not even for council meetings or
Really?
council chambers. They themselves said there's another city just near of us that does that. Originally said that shouldn't be a problem, but the director came back and said that city shouldn't be doing that. You know, even the library that's getting built in Sullivan City, it has to be for library services or for youth services. So that's
Okay.
all we can utilize that space for.
Then this is perfect then for.
Yeah, actually it is. That's what it was.
So
built
that's-
for
that was-
originally. That was the intent,
Yeah.
because these are HUD funds, so.
Hopefully, we can get the committee going and we can organize or reorganize and have something like that.
We want
What about the
library
pavilion?
committee. Mhm.
The pavilion and the other building that we have that's also,
We saw the Boys and Girls Club separately,
The former,
and that's.
the former Boys and
I'm
Girls.
sorry, you're right. The former
See?
Boys and Girls Club building, and that's where we can utilize that for city stuff, and that's where we intend to move planning and zoning.
but we
and
can't use
permits
Boys and Girls Club,
and
right?
payments. Excuse
We
me?
cannot use the name Boys and Girls.
Yeah, I apologize.
Because a few years ago, we got,
Yeah.
We can.
we can't use it.
But Mr. Lugo has.
So, can we pause for a little bit because you're changing
The disc?
the disc? It only goes to about 800 minutes. We already went past that. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
This is probably the biggest, longest item, so I think the
Yeah.
rest of the meeting should flow a little bit.
Give us.
It was a long agenda.
It's.
No, but it's a good discussion. Very necessary.
Yeah, this is exciting, and we have all that space already.
Have they vacated, that?
We're still in
No, ¿verdad?
school. I mean, we
Ah, okay,
finished-
that's still part of the
Well,
that program?
We were gonna give this building to the police department. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. I hope at the very least for our meetings, but.
Nada, no podemos.
Because a lot of the action happens after hours, right? It's not even like we could say, yeah.
You're gonna need more staff to,
We're good, Mr.
a lot of
Sepulveda?
staff. It's a big area.
We want to do what we envision, yes.
The good thing is a lot of it is grant funded, like, nonprofit, ¿verdad?
To retrofit it, yes. Equipment.
Not Hercules. ¿No sobraron galletas de ahí?
Right?
Sí, hay.
I just flipped the cassette.
You remember that, Mike? Used to record from the radio all
For the
the
radio,
time.
We're back in the recording, so, I think with this, the only thing I would recommend is like having the committee, in place, because it's coming in a few months, right?
Yeah.
And, I know you have a layout and something else, I haven't seen it, but have the community involved to kind of,
have some recommendations as far as what is this. I know we have librarians as well there in the committee, so they can have what is working in the modern day, so we can say what type of equipment, what type of things the kids would use. So that's something that I guess, you know, and hopefully we can get going with that committee. But and applying for those grants as well for Boys and Girls Club, that would be a fantastic, something that we're gonna be looking for in a few months.
Yeah, we reached out to some of the members of the library committee. Some of them already expressed their intent to, hey, we'd like to participate again. And then Mr. Lugo is already started visiting local Boys and Girls Clubs in other cities to see what their layout is like, what services they have. And he's reached out to the Boys and Girls Club Corporation or the entity to see what we need to do to get either reinstated or to be an approved Boys and Girls Club location.
Oh,
This is all exciting. But that's all we have on this front, and that concludes the update on our capital improvement projects.
Great.
By one.
That was 9.1, was it an update. 9.2, discussion and possible action regarding the Veterans Boulevard.
On this one, Mayor Pro Tem, I don't know if you want to get into the discussion or have a discussion with your legal counsel regarding the agreements. This is in regards to the 495 expansion and the shortfall that
And,
the project has now, that we're being dealt with, and we're going to have to make a decision.
Do we have a motion to take it to executive?
I motion to take it to executive.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 9.2 will be going into executive session. Item 10 and 10.1 is consideration and possible action to renew affiliation agreement with RGV Vocational Services for EMT ride-outs. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Mayor Pro Tem, real quick, just for the record, we do have representatives from the RGV Vocational Services, so we will be working them to ensure this gets taken care of, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Can
you,
we
thank
just
you.
kind of get a brief description of what this service
Yes.
entails?
This is an agreement that we already have in place. RGV Vocational Services is a school, training school in La Jolla. They reached out to us a year. They now offer a training program where you can get into the EMT program. And with this agreement with them allows them to bring their students to do ride-alongs with our ambulances and to learn from our,
That's a very good program.
from our
That's
staff.
awesome.
Appreciate what you do, guys.
Thank you so much.
Anything else
Yes,
you'd like to
thank
add?
you.
We look forward with working close with the fire department and getting our students trained and getting them ready to go out there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
That's great,
you.
and thank you for waiting. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Item 10.2, discussion and possible action to select administration project delivery service provider to complete the application and project implementation for the 2018 flood funding administration by the Texas General Land Office and approval of resolution for the same.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, about a month ago, council approved us to go out for RFQs and RFPs. RFPs are for professional services, for somebody to submit our grants for special funding that's now opened up, General Land Office funding, GLO funding, for the year 2018 and 2019. This one is for 2018, and this is for grant services to help us submit our package, but more importantly, when and if we get awarded, they'll help us administer the grant. We've been advised that we meet very good scoring criteria because of our location, because of our population, our demographic, our income levels. We are an economically disadvantaged area as well. Only so many counties qualify for this. There's only 3, so the amount of applicants is actually going to be a small pot because there's only so many that qualify. So we feel really strongly about our chances of hopefully getting selected for funding to enact some of the other drainage issues that we're talking about. So staff, the previous committee that council assigned, staff did the evaluations, and the grid that you see before you is how those turned out and what the averages are. So if you're okay with that, we can accept that, and we can commence agreement or negotiations with the #1 ranked firm.
What do you and the staff recommend?
What's on the grid, they were all competitive. We got 3 responses. There's some firms, obviously, that have a lot more resources, a lot more experience, a lot more,
Those are the ones we want.
yeah.
Which one's it?
Grant work?
So right now, the highest ranked firm would be Grant Works.
So move for
It's,
grant work.
it's,
Second.
this is for the application, is that correct?
Right, for
The application for
administration of
the flooding for 2018, I think the GLOW, yeah.
Yes.
So we have a motion to approve Grant Works. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 10.3, discussion and possible action to complete engineering services for the 2018 floods, funding administered by the Texas Land Office, and approval of resolutions for the same.
This is for the engineering part of the same application. We sent out the request to about 10 engineers. Unfortunately, we only had one response. We would have liked to have gotten more response to make some comparisons and side-by-sides. Nonetheless, the engineer that responded is qualified. That's Sam's Inc. or Sames Inc. Out of FAR, but they've grown to 4 locations. We did speak with, try to get more information with the GLO. Hey, can we wait on this one and submit, and we'll get our consultant to help us with the administrative side, and we get the engineer later. Unfortunately, they're worried about the deadline to submit, which is gonna be June 1st. They want this all in place at the same time. So the idea would be we move forward with this one as
So
presented.
move for approval, same.
And if we have time, we'll come back and try to do some.
What is it exactly that they're evaluating?
The engineer, the qualifications for the engineering services.
I believe is that what's needed for the application to be in a package? Because when we
Oh,
have that,
okay.
we have a better chance of getting that grant if we
Yeah.
have a package deal with an engineer.
Got
James is a
got it.
well-known company, so I'll move for approval.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10-4, discussion and possible action to select administration project delivery service provider to complete application to and project implementation by the 2019 Imelda Funding Administration. Is this about the same? Is it the same?
Yes, for the same services for the grant consultant, but this is for 2019 floods.
For 2019, we have a motion by Mr. Garcia, we have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We have,
Can we give a short description as to what that is about, what that's gonna cover, the 2019 floods? Or
It's
with
for
this
flood
grant?
mitigation. The way, it's called 2018 because there was disasters in 2018, and then there was more disasters in 2019, including what they call TS Imelda, which is Tropical Storm Imelda.
Okay.
So the funding is a result of those emergency disasters, which were 3 years ago, right? But they're coming out now. So if you were in a county or an area that was impacted by either the 2018 floods or the 2019 floods, you're eligible to apply. You have to meet certain criteria. In our case, we meet for both because our county was designated as a national disaster both of those years. Now, so that allows us to apply. Once we apply, they have a scoring criteria and a grid, and where you start to get points is the economically disadvantaged areas, the lower
Okay,
population.
and that's this grant that we're
Yeah,
talking about.
The impact it's gonna have on the number of people and households and so forth. So this group will allow us to go after that grant and utilize their resources to hopefully get funded.
Okay, so
If,
move for approval.
God willing, we get
so-
awarded, what can we do with these monies?
Flood mitigation, the drainage projects,
The
we talked
drainage
about-
projects.
We've done,
Okay.
we've done assessments like for Showers Road and for some of the other ones. Now, why are we focusing on Spring Glen and Business Center and Jamie Circle? Because as far as, terms of protection of life, those are the ones that have water in their houses.
Going in their homes.
Literally going into their homes. Showers, not to take anything away from Showers Road, but at least the water stays on the streets and doesn't go into their houses
Yeah,
like it does in the
not
other-
yet.
Not yet.
It's
So-
pretty close, yeah.
So,
Not-
in terms of, but that does not mean that that doesn't need to be addressed. This was allow us to go funding for not just Showers Road, but for every other area that we have on our list. We have about 11. Right here, we know Benson and 495
gosh,
is extremely
yes.
flooded.
Yeah, those are
Green
the
Gate
areas.
Grove, the Green Gates, the subdivision for Green Gate, they've been asking, they get some flooding on their streets as well. Pammy Circle has flooding issues.
When are these monies projected to get awarded, if and when they award?
My understanding is, by the summer, we should.
I
have some-
think the application is due like June, early June.
Okay,
So
we need to get on
it's
it.
already there.
Okay,
So
got
that, we had
I have a motion for.
a motion.
For safe.
Second,
And Mr. Garcia mentioned on 10.5, which is the same, 2019 on Sames. So we have a motion for
For both
10.5,
items.
for both items, 10.4 and 10.5. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Motion passes. On 10.6, a discussion and possible action to consider renewing the interlocal agreement with the City of Mission Animal Shelter, staffed by Planning Department.
Mayor, real quick, we have an agreement with City of Mission. That agreement is actually coming up to expire. They did increase the rates. It used to be like $70 per animal per dog. Now they increased it up to $200 per animal.
Aye.
There is a shortage. A lot of these places are at capacity. Some places aren't accepting additional dogs or animals. The county is dealing with the same issue. So when we got the increased rate notice, we went back to look at, we used to use Palm Valley. They increased their rates back then, and that's why we went to Mission. So Palm Valley, on their end, they're at 270, so
And
they're
it's
actually
far.
higher. They adopted a no-kill policy where they don't euthanize the animals. They try to find them adopted homes, and if they can't find one, they'll send them up north. which is a great program. But going back to this, right now, the only option would be to continue with Mission for now. We did have initial discussions with Precinct 3 and with the city of Alton, try to do something regional. Every city, every precinct is looking at something like that. If there's interest there, and it appears there is, we had positive feedback, but it's gonna take some time to get there.
To move for approval for Mission.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. I have a question. Is that the least expensive?
That we're on right now, yeah. It's 200, 270 with Palm Valley, and the other option that I think came up from council was there's a place right here on 2 Mile Line, not too far from Benson Road, but they're not taking in
They're
animals.
not taking, yeah, that's what I heard.
So,
But we're gonna start looking into something else later, right?
Yeah. The other
Yeah,
thing that we're
that's-
looking at is doing it in-house. I think we already started some, did some,
Yeah, I was gonna say